The stars above Outpost Trivan were calm. Too calm. Laro sat inside the small communications tower, staring at the screen. He was a young alien technician, thin and nervous, with large green eyes that blinked too much when stressed. He had joined the communication corps because he wanted a quiet job. He never expected war to come to his doorstep, but it had. The Xenar Empire had arrived without warning. Black warships had fallen from the sky like burning thunder. Their weapons turned peaceful. Cities into ash. Defense systems failed in seconds. Outpost Trivan, once a calm place of research and trade, had become a graveyard. Laro looked out the cracked window. The sky was red. Fires burned in the distance. Smoke covered the horizon. Screams echoed from below, though the outpost had nearly no soldiers. Just scientists, engineers, families. He turned back to his console. The emergency beacon blinked. The message was ready to send, but he hesitated. Who will even listen? He whispered. No one dares face the Xenar. The Galactic Council had already abandoned them. Other nearby colonies had gone silent. No one was coming. Still, Laro pressed the button. The beacon activated. A pulse of light, coded and encrypted, shot into deep space. It carried one message, in hundreds of languages. Distress call. Civilian world under attack. Immediate help required. Location. Trivan system. Please, anyone. He watched the signal disappear into the stars and waited. Across the galaxy, far from the burning skies of Trivan, Earth rotated in silence. A planet mostly ignored by the Galactic Council, Earth had not spoken in many years. After their last war, the humans had gone quiet. No trade, no messages. No diplomacy. Some thought Earth had vanished, but they hadn't. Beneath the cold mountains of Antarctica, deep in a command bunker, buried under ice and steel, an ancient machine hummed. It was a listening AI, old but powerful. It scanned deep. Space for messages, threats, or warnings. That night, it found one. The distress call from Trivan arrived as a faint whisper in the machine's sensors. But it was enough. The AI processed it, matched the Xenar attack patterns, and sent a silent alert to Earth's military network. General Hart was drinking coffee when the red alert flashed across his screen. He stared at the report. A Xenar invasion. Civilian colony. No council response. He knew the script. He had seen it before. He stood and walked to the war room. Wake up command. Tell the Black Lances to prepare for launch, he ordered. His voice was cold and calm. But sir, the officer asked, are we responding? General Hart didn't blink. They asked for help, he said. We're sending fire and steel. Back on Trivan, Laro hid in the tower as explosions shook the ground. He could hear Xenar, boots outside, heavy, marching, searching. He had no weapons, no way to escape, but he had done what he could. He had sent the signal. Now he would die. A sudden sound hit the air. A strange, loud boom followed by a cracking flash in the sky. He looked up. A tear opened in the stars. Blue and white light roared through the clouds. Something massive fell from orbit. At first, he thought it was another Xenar ship, but it was darker, sleeker, covered in glowing red lines. And then more followed. Dozens. Hundreds. Giant ships, sharp like blades, blacker than the night. They came, in silence, then thundered with sound as they broke through the sky. The ground shook harder than before, but this time, the Xenar ran. The first human dropships landed just outside the outpost. Massive armored vehicles, covered in markings unknown to any Trivan scientist. From the dust, they walked out. Humans. Clad in heavy battle armor, with glowing visors and weapons that pulsed with quiet power. One soldier looked at Laro through the cracked glass of the comms tower, Laro froze. The soldier pointed at him and gave a small nod. Laro couldn't breathe. These creatures, these humans, they had come. The last thing he saw before fainting was the soldier raising a black banner, symbol in red burned across it. A clenched fist around a burning star. Earth had heard the signal, and it did not forget how to make war. Asterisk far above the Earth, beyond its blue skies and white clouds. A quiet fleet slept in orbit. Massive ships drifted in silence. They were black as shadow, lined with hidden weapons and armored hulls. These weren't merchant ships or explorers. They were war machines, created for one purpose: to end threats. They belonged to a unit known only by whispers, the Black Lances. Now they were waking up. Inside the control hub buried under Antarctica's ice, alarms echoed through the command halls. Red lights flashed across steel walls. Sleep pods opened. Soldiers stepped out, faces hard, eyes cold, armor locking into place. General Hart stood before a large tactical screen. His voice echoed through the speakers. "This is not a drill." A distress call from Trivan reached us. "The Xenar Empire is killing civilians. We are responding. Full war loadout. No negotiations." Behind him, a younger officer leaned in. "Sir, the Council hasn't given any permission." General Hart turned to him slowly. "The Council stopped mattering when they let whole worlds burn. We act alone." The room went silent. Then the orders rolled out like thunder. "Deploy fleet formation Gamma 9. Load railgun coils and charge the quantum reactors. Activate the Wraith units. All Black Lance operatives to battle status." In orbit, the command ship Fireborn activated. Its engines glowed blue. Armor plates shifted into war mode. Thousands of drones launched from its hangars. Stealth cruisers locked into attack formations. Each ship carried squads of elite human warriors, men and women trained to survive any world, any atmosphere, any war. They were known by one name across the galaxy: Colon Death Worlders. On board Fireborn, Commander Vale walked the bridge. Her armor was jet black, her eyes sharp like knives. She stared at the planet Trivan displayed on the screen. A junior officer turned to her. "Orders, Commander?" She didn't look away. "We arrive in 10 minutes. The Empire took everything from them. We give nothing back but fire." The bridge fell quiet, and then a sound like a heartbeat filled the ship, a low pulse, coming from deep in its core. The AI had joined the fight. Back on Trivan, Laro woke up slowly. He was lying in a strange bed, metal walls around him, soft lights above. He looked around, confused. It wasn't the tower. It wasn't his world. It smelled clean, cold, like steel and ozone. A figure appeared. A human soldier, helmet off, stood near the doorway. He had short hair, a sharp jaw, and scars across his face. His armor was still on, black with glowing blue lines. "You're awake," the soldier said. Laro blinked. Where am I?" "Inside our field hospital. You passed out during evac. We pulled you out of the tower before it collapsed." Laro sat up. You actually came." The soldier nodded. "We heard your signal. Now it's our turn." Suddenly, the lights above flickered red. The ship shook slightly. "Brace for engagement," a voice said over the speaker. "Enemy dreadnought entering orbit." The soldier turned to Laro again. "You want to see what fire and steel looks like?" he asked with a grin. He offered a hand. Laro, still shaking, took it. In space, Earth's fleet burst from F-Teal right. Behind the Xenar dreadnought, the Xenar captain looked confused. He hadn't expected resistance, especially not from humans. He tried to send a warning to his fleet. Too late. Fireborne's railguns fired first. Blue bolts of plasma sliced through the void like lightning. A Xenar cruiser exploded in one shot. Another was disabled before it could raise shields. Earth's smaller ships darted in and out like hunting wolves dropping mines, hacking enemy systems, blasting through armor. The Black Lances deployed in waves, troopers in drop pods screaming. Through the atmosphere toward the surface. On Trivan's surface, the Xenar soldiers began to panic. Their scanners showed hundreds of incoming signals, but no response from command. Their dreadnought wasn't answering. Then they heard it, a distant sound growing louder, like metal ripping through the air. They looked up. The sky was full of falling fire, and from that fire came humans, armored, silent, deadly, asterisk. Smoke covered the hills outside the capital city of Trivan. Once green and peaceful, the land was now broken. Craters scarred the roads. Buildings had fallen. Flames still burned in the distance. The Xenar Empire had made sure no hope remained, or so they thought. From the edge of the forest, Laro watched the scene with wide eyes. He stood beside the human soldier who had saved him, Sergeant Rhine, a calm and quiet man who carried a heavy pulse rifle across his back. "That was our home," Laro whispered. "It's all gone." Rhine nodded, but didn't speak. His helmet visor glowed red as he scanned the city ruins below. They weren't alone. Small teams of Black Lance soldiers moved through the ruined streets like ghosts. Fast, focused, unstoppable. And behind them, the first relief dropships began to land. Medical tents unfolded like machines growing from the ground. Humans weren't just here to destroy. They were here to rebuild. "You sent the signal," Rhine said finally. "We heard it because you stayed." Laro didn't answer. His chest felt tight. He had survived. But so many HADN single quotes T. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed from below. An explosion rocked one of the buildings still standing. Debris shot into the air. A human trooper's body slammed into a wall. He didn't move. "Sniper!" Someone shouted through Rhine's comm. Without a word, Rhine dropped to one knee and brought his rifle up. "Stay down," he told Laro. But Laro didn't run. He followed Rhine's eyes toward the tall, cracked tower across the city square. Inside one of the shattered windows, something moved, a flash of Xenar armor. Rhine fired. One clean shot. A second later, the top of the tower collapsed in dust. Sniper was gone. Across the city, Commander Vale stood in the main operations tent. Screens floated in the air before her, projecting live feeds from all over Trivan. Behind her, her officers spoke rapidly. "Xenar resistance is weaker than expected. Civilian survivors are gathering at Zone Delta. Enemy retreat. Ships spotted heading toward the outer rim." Vale's eyes narrowed. "Don't let them escape," she said. "No survivors, no regrouping. This ends here." She looked at a map of the sector. More Xenar forces still held neighboring colonies. If Earth didn't act fast, they'd regroup. Send in the Hammer-class drones. Full system sweep. This war isn't over. It's only begun. Back near the ruins, Laro sat near a broken fountain. He held a small device in his hands. It was cracked and blackened, but still pulsing with soft light. It was the emergency beacon. The one he had used. "This saved us," he said quietly. Rhine sat beside him, cleaning his rifle. "No, you saved us." "That signal changed everything." Laro shook his head. "But why did your people come? You don't even know us." Rhine looked out over the city. "Because we remember what it's like to be ignored. Long ago, we cried for help too. No one came. So now, when we hear that cry, we don't wait. We answer." Laro didn't speak. His eyes stung. But he nodded. That night, as the stars returned to the sky, Human ships floated above the planet, like watchful sentinels. In orbit, the Fireborn's AI scanned. Nearby systems. Xenar ships were fleeing. Fast. Should we pursue? One officer asked. Commander Vale didn't hesitate. No, we hunt. Within minutes, strike groups were already jumping to the next colony. This was no longer just a rescue mission. This was a war. Back on Trivan, Laro stood with a new group of survivors aliens from many species, some injured, some terrified. But, all watching the skies, a human medic handed him a datapad. General Hart asked for this. You're being added to the Alliance speakers. He wants you to tell the galaxy what happened here. Laro looked at the pad. His name was on it. So was. Earth Seal. I'm not a leader, he said. You became one the moment you hit send, the medic replied with a smile. Above them, Earth ships moved like silent protectors. And across the stars, the enemy began to understand. Humanity was not like the others. They had answered one. Desperate signal. And they weren't going home until every screen stopped. Asterisk the space above the Calroc system turned black. Not from nightfall. But from the arrival of Earth's warfleet. Massive line of Terran ships broke from hyperspace silent. Precise, deadly. The Fireborn, leading the charge, glided into the system like a ghost wrapped in armor. Behind it, hundreds of Earth's most advanced warships followed. Each one bristled with weapons. Each one had only one order. End the Xenar Empire. On the surface of Calroc's Prime, the Xenar governor watched the sky with growing fear. His scanners showed unknown contacts, fast-moving, too well-organized. He barked at his crew. Identify those ships. But the answer came too late. The sky exploded. Orbit, Earth's fleet opened fire. Blue railgun bolts streaked through the void. Plasma beams sliced across the clouds. Xenar defenses lit up and vanished in balls of flame. Missile pods launched silently from stealth destroyers, slamming into military outposts on the surface. Every strike was clean. Every hit destroyed a target. Earth wasn't playing a game. Inside the Fireborn's command deck, Commander Vale stood unmoved. Her voice was steady as she gave orders. Sector 4 suppressed the missile silos. Sector 7 deploy ghost teams. No warnings. No signals. No mercy. She looked at a screen showing the planet's surface. A red icon marked a Xenar command center. That's the nest, she said. Burn it. In orbit, the Hammer-class dreadnought Obsidian Maw turned and locked on to the command center. Its main weapon, the Thor Lance, activated. A giant metal rod the size of a tower dropped from its belly, accelerating as it fell toward the planet. There was no sound, just a blinding flash of light. And then, the command center was gone. A hole the size of a city smoked where it once stood. Meanwhile, on the ground, Laro moved with the first team of Terran support units. He wasn't a soldier, but he wore body armor now lightweight, designed for civilians, but still stronger than anything he had back home. He followed Sergeant Rhine, who led a small group through the ruined streets of Calroc's Prime. See that? Rhine pointed to a tall tower. That's their last-come relay. If they escape with it, they'll send a warning. Laro swallowed his fear. Then we stopped them. Rhine gave a small grin. Good answer. They moved fast. Inside the tower. Xenar officers panicked. The command center was gone. Their outer defenses had fallen. Their support ships were in flames. And now, human boots thundered in the halls. A door exploded inward. 3 armored Terran troopers stormed in, followed by Rhine and Laro. One Xenar grabbed a weapon. Rhine shot first. Clear the room. He barked. Laro rushed to the main console. The relay system was blinking just seconds away from launching a data burst to the Empire's remaining fleets. His fingers flew across the keys. Laro now, Rhine shouted. Almost. Now. The console beeped. Transmission failed. They had stopped it. The relay went dark. The Xenar would not be warned. Back in space, the last of the enemy fleet broke formation. Xenar captains shouted orders to retreat. Their engines flared. They tried to flee the system. But Earth's ships were faster. The Sable Spear, a Terran strike frigate, warped behind a fleeing battleship and fired its railguns point blank. Ships shattered like glass. Others followed. Xenar ships burned one by one, their lights flickering out like dying stars. Within minutes, the sky was silent. Only Earth's fleet remained. Later, as cleanup teams moved in, Commander Vale stood in a destroyed courtyard. Alien dust settled at her feet. Status? She asked. A junior officer answered, system secured. No survivors from the enemy side. Civilian loss minimal. Vale nodded. Send the message. What message, Commander? She looked toward the stars. Let the galaxy know. Earth doesn't answer with words. We answer with fire and steel. Back aboard Fireborn, Laro stood in front of a long window, staring at the stars. He had seen things he never imagined, felt terror and hope in the same breath. He had witnessed the power of a planet that once stayed silent, now roaring like a storm. Sergeant Rhine walked up beside him. You did good down there, Rhine said. I was scared, Laro admitted. So were we all. That's the part no one tells you. Fear is normal. What matters is what you do next. Laro nodded. What do we do next? Rhine's eyes looked toward the command deck, where new orders were already being planned. We end it, he said. All of it. The Xenar Imperial Palace floated above a red stone world, shielded by ancient technology and pride. Inside its cold marble halls, the Xenar Emperor, a creature taller than most men with 6 eyes and golden armor, paced with restless energy, had ruled for 80 years without question. Entire star systems had fallen before him. His word was law. His fleet was unmatched. But now, something had changed. Another system lost? The Emperor growled. The advisor trembled. Yes, Your Grace. Calrox is gone. They destroyed the command center. No spaceship survived. And who? The Emperor asked, voice low and dangerous. Dared challenge my will? The answer came slowly. Earth. The Terrans. Silence filled the throne room. Then dash crash. The Emperor smashed his crystal datapad against the floor. Shards scattered. Earth was quiet, forgotten, weak. How did they do this? No one answered. Across the stars, Earth's fleet didn't pause. The Black Lances were not built to hold ground. They were built to break empires. Commander Vale now led a strike campaign across 5 systems. Her orders were simple. Cripple the Xenar's voice. Shatter their power. Burn their pride. In 1 week, Earth's forces destroyed 3 supply hubs, liberated 2 slave colonies, hijacked an entire Xenar war factory, and turned it against them. Back on Trivan, Laro watched the updates on a holographic display. The galaxy was waking up. Systems that once feared the Xenar now whispered of rebellion. Old enemies of the Empire were resurfacing, curious about Earth's power. In the command tent, Laro was briefing new diplomats from smaller worlds. His role had changed. He was now Earth's voice to the free worlds. The Terrans didn't. Come for glory, he told them. They came because we were dying. They stayed because they remember what dying feels like. Some still feared Earth, but most leaned forward when he spoke. Hope had a new name now. At the edge of the Drakkar sector, a massive space station prepared for battle. It was one of the Empire's oldest military strongholds. Thousands of Xenar soldiers stood ready, but Earth wasn't coming with diplomacy. The Obsidian Law, Earth's dreadnought, exited hyperspace with no warning. It launched drone carriers, jamming satellites and stealth corvettes in seconds. Inside the station, alarms screamed. Then the lights went out, the power grid failed. Emergency lights flickered red. "They hacked us," a Xenar tech shouted. "We've lost command access." The Terrans had never even fired a shot. They were already inside. On the bridge of the Fireborn, Commander Vale watched it all unfold. "This is the breaking point," she said. A young officer looked up. "Ma'am?" "The moment they realize we don't want their throne," she replied. "We want it gone." Inside the collapsing station, Earth's infiltration team, Wraith Unit 9, moved like ghosts through the dark. They carried stun rifles, not because they were kind, but because they wanted prisoners. They wanted witnesses. Back in the Xenar capital, chaos spread. The Emperor watched as star after star turned, red on the galactic map occupied by Earth. He slammed his claw on the table. "Summon the Grand Council," he shouted. "If they want war, we'll give it. Burn every human world. Poison their sun." But the Council didn't answer. One by one, his generals had gone dark. His fleets were missing. His grip on the galaxy was slipping, and worse, his fear was showing. Later, in orbit above a liberated planet, Earth sent one message to every species in the known galaxy. It was Laro's voice, simple, clear, powerful. They cried for help. The galaxy turned away. Earth did not. Earth doesn't run from war. It ends it. Choose now silence or freedom. The message was heard by millions. And for the first time in centuries, planets that once bowed to the Xenar began to stand up, not because they trusted Earth, but because Earth had proven it does not kneel. On the Fireborn's deck, Rhine stood next. To Laro, watching planets flicker on the screen planets that were once lost. "Now free. The Empire's breaking," Laro said. Rhine nodded. "Not fast enough." Laro turned. "Then what's next?" Rhine's voice was calm. "We make sure it never rises again." Asterisk in the heart of the collapsing Xenar Empire, deep inside. A hollowed-out moon known as Varkas Null. The last War Council gathered. The Xenar Emperor sat at the head of a jagged black table, eyes burning with fury. Around him stood what remained of his top generals, tired, desperate, shaken. "We have one weapon left," the Emperor hissed. One. The weapon was called the Oblivion Core, a planet killer powered by dark energy. It had been buried beneath Varkas Null for decades, designed not to conquer, but to erase. "Where shall we fire it?" A general asked quietly. The Emperor's answer was ice cold. Earth. At the same moment, far away on the Fireborn, Commander Vale stared at a data stream sent by a captured Xenar ship. The intercepted message revealed the truth. The Xenar had activated a doomsday weapon, and Earth was its target. Vale didn't hesitate. "Plot jump coordinates to Varkas Null," she ordered. "Alert every fleet. We stop that weapon, or we lose everything." Behind her, warning sirens began to wail. Earth's final battle had begun. Down on Trivan, Laro stood watching the stars from a high platform. His communicator buzzed. "Laro," came Vale's voice. "This isn't just another system. It's the endgame." "I understand," Laro said. "What do you need?" "We need hope. Record a message, one the whole galaxy will hear." Laro swallowed hard, then nodded. He activated the mic. "This is Laro of Trivan. The Xenar Empire is making its last move, a weapon that can end entire worlds. But Earth is already in motion. Their fleets are jumping now. Don't run. Don't hide. Watch. Because this time, the stars will remember who stood tall." Moments later, Earth's combined fleet tore into Varkas Null's sector like lightning ripping through space. The sky turned into a battlefield. Xenar dreadnoughts blocked the way. Earth's warships broke through like spears, Cruisers launched stealth drones. Fighters danced in deadly orbits. Capital ships fired railgun rounds the size of shuttles. From the core of Earth's fleet, the Obsidian Maw led the charge, its Thor lance glowing white-hot, ready to pierce anything in its path. Inside Varkus Null, the countdown to the Oblivion. Core's launch had already started. 300 seconds. Xenar guards lined the hallways. But Earth had already sent its most dangerous unit, Wraith Team 1. Led by Sergeant Rhine. He moved like a shadow through steel corridors, clearing the path with precision. Behind him were 6 other elite soldiers, and one unlikely figure, Laro. "You didn't have to come," Rhine whispered as they crouched behind cover. "I sent the signal," Laro replied. "Let me help end this." Rhine nodded. "All right. Let's make history." Inside the control chamber, the Xenar Emperor watched the countdown tick down. 190 seconds. Then, boom, the main door exploded inward. Smoke poured in. Silhouettes stepped through. Humans. Guns raised. Eyes cold. "Stand down," Vale's voice shouted. Through Rhine's helmet. "Disable the core. Don't let it fire." The final battle had reached its heart. Gunfire lit the chamber. Xenar. Soldiers fell, but one moved too fast. He activated the core manually. A scream followed. 90 seconds. Laro sprinted forward through the chaos, diving onto the panel. Sparks flew as he ripped open the interface. "Can you stop it?" Rhine yelled. "No," Laro cried. "But I can redirect it." "To where?" Laro looked up, heart racing, back into the moon, into the heart of the weapon itself. "That'll cause a chain reaction." "Exactly." Rhine hesitated only a moment. Then nodded. "Do it." 30 seconds. The countdown reached its final stage. Laro's hands moved fast. Alien codes blurred past the screen. 15 seconds. He slammed the final key. "It's done." Above the moon, Earth's fleet began emergency withdrawal. Commander Vale ordered all ships to jump now. The Fireborn grabbed Wraith Team 1's signal and locked on. A bright flash consumed their drop zone. The fleet vanished. And then, Varkus. Null imploded. The Oblivion core turned inward, consuming itself in a collapse of gravity and fire. The last weapon of the Xenar Empire died with a whisper, and so did the Empire. On the Fireborn, Laro woke in a medical bay. Rhine sat beside him, bruised and grinning. "We did it," Rhine said. "Is it over?" Laro asked. Rhine nodded slowly. "Yeah, it's over." Above the stars, Earth's flag flew beside. Dozens of others' worlds that once feared now stood united. The galaxy had watched the final battle. They had seen Earth burn brighter than the Empire. And now they believed. Asterisk. The stars were quiet again. No warships, no weapons, no screams. Just silence and survivors. In the orbit of the now lost moon Varkus Null, Earth's fleet floated in formation. No one cheered. No one danced. Victory had come at a price. But it had come. Inside the flagship Fireborn, Commander Vale stood on the observation deck, her armor scarred, her expression steady. She looked out at the stars, each light a world that once feared the Xenar Empire. Now, those stars were watching Earth, waiting for what it would say next. In the center of the ship, the broadcast room had been prepared. Across the galaxy, thousands of systems tuned in. Council chambers, survivor colonies, warlord strongholds. Eyes, nervous ears, all focused on one signal, one voice. Laro stood in front of the holocom, his heart pounding. He had written these words over and over, unsure if they were right. Until now. He took a breath and spoke. "To all worlds who hear me, the Xenar Empire has fallen. They ruled through fear, through silence, through power. But when one small, Planet sent a cry into the dark. The Empire thought it wouldn't matter. They were wrong. Earth heard that cry. And Earth answered with fire and steel. Not for conquest, not for glory, but because we know what it feels like to be ignored. We remember being weak. We remember screaming into the dark and hearing nothing. So now, when the stars cry out, we answer. Not as rulers, not as gods, but as guardians. The death worlders of Earth will not run. We will not kneel. We do not forget. And we do not forgive empires that feed on the helpless. If you seek peace, stand with us. If you threaten the weak prey, we never come. This is Earth's message. We are not alone anymore. None of us are. The message ended, and the galaxy changed. Across the stars, worlds began to speak again. Slave colonies rose up, inspired by Earth's stand. Former allies of the Xenar burned their flags and declared freedom. Long-lost civilizations sent messages of thanks. And for the first time in generations, a new alliance began to form, led not by power, but by purpose. On the surface of Trivan, children played again. Trees were replanted. Fires were gone. And high on a hill, a monument was built. It showed a small, broken tower, the one where Laro had sent the signal. Beside it, a statue of a human soldier, arm raised, holding a shattered Xenar helmet. At the base, one sentence. They heard us. In the Fireborn's hangar, Sergeant Rhine packed his gear. He turned as Laro entered. You leaving? Laro asked. Rhine nodded. New systems to check. Some old tyrants still out there. Earth doesn't sleep easy. Laro smiled. You'll make sure they don't forget? Rhine placed a hand on his shoulder. You already made sure of that. Later, as Earth's fleet turned toward home, the stars around them pulsed brighter than before. Not because of war, but because hope had returned. And at the heart of that hope was a voice from a ruined world, a signal, a promise. Humanity had answered the galaxy's call, and the galaxy would never forget it. Asterisk.